Man, I'm having so much fun. This is a $1.6 trillion industry. I'm talking about the food and beverage space. If you're not having fun, you're in the wrong place. Yes, it's hard work, but my gosh, the companies, the brands, the flavors, the experiences, the missions, it's fantastic. But some of the brands are different, better, and special. They're the ones who are able to really compete and vie for customer loyalty. Look, I know you want to make your brand different, better, and special. I know you yourself want to be different, better, and special. That's my mission. That's why you're here. Join me on this journey as I interview CEOs and founders from all the different companies within the food and beverage industry so we can discover what they're doing, so we can take that information back, digest it, and become better ourselves, and to help our companies take on different strategies, pick the right technology, pick the right partners, and of course, you got to have great taste in food. You got to have great taste in beverages. Packaged goods. If it doesn't taste good, you're lost. I'm sorry. You're going to lose millions. If you're new here, take the 5-episode challenge. Go back, pick out some brands, some CEOs, some topics. If you love the content, subscribe. You're going to find it on every podcast platform once or twice a week. But I also publish them on LinkedIn because that's where we kind of hang out. So when you see it on LinkedIn, stop by, make a comment, share it back into your food and beverage network. I would appreciate it. The brands would appreciate it. To all my loyal listeners, thank you so much. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being with me on this journey. Thanks for coming along on this mission for the past 2 years. If you are considering a strategic job change, message me. Let's have a confidential conversation. If your brand is growing and you need to attract experts, you also need to contact me because I have created a different, better, and special recruiting system. I promise you, no other search firm in America is doing that. Who am I? I'm Tony Moore. I'm an expert food and beverage headhunter, semi-professional podcaster, and I'm here each and every week. Stay tuned for this week's episode. Welcome to Winning at Work. I'm Tony Moore, and I've got Matt Kovacs. Matt, you're down here again. I mean, you're becoming like a regular. I'm going to have to start paying you a portion of the proceeds now, I think.
Something, yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's see. I get 0. So let's see. How much do you want?
Pay me in butterscotch candy. That's fine.
What? You get paid in PR, man. You get paid in buzz and social media hype, right? I mean, isn't that how you measure success?
Yeah. That's the dopamine. That's what keeps us going.
Yeah, that is what every brand wants, is that social media buzz, that hype. Now you've had some interesting clients on, and you were telling me about an industry that we've really not delved into before. So tell us a little bit about the industry we're going to be getting into today and one of your clients. I think it's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, I think, as you look at the evolution of retail and really where the biggest growth, convenience stores has really become a big target. You look at the size, the scope, and also the elements of where they can reach all throughout the U.S. and obviously Canada and beyond. But it's really a way that the convenience store customers evolved as well. And I think from the brand standpoint, they really look at convenience stores as the opportunity to not only drive sales and drive awareness, but also be able to you're seeing more innovation and seeing more opportunities where it's not the pork rinds and sodas. It's more about what can we do to evolve and really match the customer base. So really going after millennials, Gen Z, female customers, really that opportunity to explore and bring that value to them. And I'd say the other thing is, also the changing patterns coming out of COVID with, there's not as much of the gas station play. You have much more of the quick movements and being able to go in, get what you need and go to your next destination. So I think that's where convenience stores come to play. And we're fortunate to have Christian join us today. His background, obviously, now with Electrolit, but in the past working with Red Bull. So having a good understanding of not only that channel strategy, but really being able to grow brands and evolve in that regard. So welcome, Christian.
Thanks so much, Matt, and Tony as well. Thanks so much for inviting me.
No, it's great. I mean, again, obviously, I've known you for a number of years, but I think the element when you look at this category, especially within The Electrolit, family of brands here is really to really expand and look at it from hydration and the isotonic type elements. So I think that's a big part of what's important. And then also what you're seeing as you look to expand now is, becoming the newly CEO for the whole brand.
Give us a little bit of an overview, Christian, of the brand. You guys were kind. You sent me a nice sample pack. I have to tell you, as a cyclist, the brand really resonated with me because I'm really not into like a Gatorade. I kind of feel like that's honestly, when I drink that, I feel thirstier. I can't explain it. It doesn't quench anything. So that's what I liked about your brand, was that I could actually put it in my bottles, blend a little water in with it, and have a hard ride and drink that all along the way. And it didn't upset my stomach. And it kind of, I thought, hit a lot of the functional needs I was looking for. So tell us a little bit more about the brand.
Definitely. So Electrolit is a premium hydration beverage with a scientific formula. It's a brand that started back in the 50s in Mexico. There was an outbreak similar to COVID. There was a big outbreak of cholera in Mexico, and unfortunately, several children were having a really, really tough time. And it started first as an oral solution for children in 1952 in Mexico. And since then, the brand has been evolving into become this multi-occasion premium hydration beverage. And when I say premium and scientific, those words have a very, very important a connotation for us. Reason why is because we are owned by the largest pharmaceutical company in Latin America, privately owned company in Latin America called Grupo PISA. And we take a lot of pride in the way we manufacture our products. And that scientific formula, basically what means is we have better for you ingredients, better for you electrolytes, and we know that it's not about just adding a lot of magnesium and a lot of sodium and a lot of potassium and so on. It's truly understanding what the body needs, what is the right ratio of electrolytes to provide that instant hydration and basically that fast recovery that consumers are looking for, either like you, if you're riding your bike or if you're outside working on your garden, or if you're a construction worker and you're working in Arizona and it's 100 degrees outside and you're sweating, it's a product that can help you recover your electrolytes in your body. And at the same time, we have seen as well a lot of consumers while going out with their friends and families and so on, having a couple of drinks the day after. It's a great product that helps them recover. So it's a multi-occasion hydration beverage with a scientific formula. And both the performance and the taste of our products are so strong that we have seen consumers coming back consistently for multiple decades in Mexico, in the US, and in already 11 countries that we have distribution.
From a convenience store standpoint, I think that's an interesting play within this brand. Tell me how, or talk to us, obviously, how that really has helped, the brand take off.
I would say convenience is the most important channel for us. Not only in the US, but in every single market where we have distribution as of today. And the reason why is because Electrolit, and as well as many other beverages, it's an impulse purchase. Consumers some of them may think ahead or in advance, like, hey, I need 2, 3, 4 beverages to have or electrolytes, bottles of electrolytes to have in my pantry. But we have tested and learned, and this is not new news. This is very consistent to other categories like energy drinks and sodas and so on, that consumers, when they walk into a convenience store, they may not necessarily have top of mind what they're going to be purchasing, but once they see the product, once they see that availability, and even more if the product is cold, they're going to purchase your product. So there's no better channel for achieving that than convenience. Reason why is because the proximity, the amount of stores nationwide, there's no other channel with as many points of sale as convenience. And also part of the redundancy, but the availability and the convenience of that channel helps the consumer to really, in an easy way, either you walk across the street, or if you're filling your tank, or if you're going to stop and pay some services or do something at your local convenience store, it's very easy and very convenient for you to grab the product and drink it at that same moment.
You brought up a few things there, Christian. I don't know if the numbers have gone up, but back in 2020, there were 150,000 C-stores. Is that consistent with?
Yeah, I would say at least the latest numbers that I've seen is around 155,000, what I've heard in the US. And a big percentage, the biggest percentage of that, I would say, are independent convenience stores. Obviously, there's a significant number of national and regional accounts, but it's a channel that it's still driving a lot of momentum in terms of new stores and growth.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a brand and you're not in a convenience store, you really need to think about this because, again, this was research that I did from 2 years ago, but it's about $650 billion in revenues. So I think in our pre-call, you even said that combined, there's more revenue here than Walmart.
Yeah,
we could probably go out and verify that, but I mean, that's a huge.
Definitely. I can tell you that for several beverages, that's been part of my experience. That the amount of volume in dollars that you sell on the independent channel, it's bigger than a top national account like a Walmart. Reason why is because of the amount of points of sales. Don't think that Walmart is not necessarily important. Of course, Walmart is we know the size of Walmart and we know the importance of Walmart in the American economy. But again, if you see independent convenience stores for several brands, several beverages, as a channel or if it was an account, definitely they will be the number one.
And you also mentioned too the kind of cold availability. Maybe talk a little bit more about that, because I know when I do go into a C-store, that's what really kind of attracts me back to the beverage case, is that I don't want to have to buy something like in a grocery store and I know it's warm. I kind of want it now. Exactly.
And it goes back to the point that I mentioned earlier about impulse. You have heard this phrase that is very common on the industry, that if it's not cold, it's not sold. And I do believe it's true. I don't want to say
if it's not cold, it's not sold. That's good.
It's not sold, yes. And that it's not 100% like that, but definitely what I've seen in different projects and research that we have done with consumers, that I've done it with not only one brand, but with multiple brands in convenience specifically. And I would say convenience and other channels, but most importantly, even in convenience, is if you have the product cold and the product is as close as possible to the checkout. Yes, you can have the product on the cold bolt. Yes, it's going to drive incremental revenue, but the sweet spot is if it's cold and really close to the checkout, that's where the magic happens. I've seen growth of around 45 to 50% in several stores. The moment you put a cooler pretty close to a checkout, the consumer is going to be waiting in line to pay. Probably they didn't have top of mind buying an electrolyte, or they don't even know what electrolyte is. They're staying in line. They look, they turn right or left. They look at the cooler. They find the product, and the impulse purchase is highly likely to happen. So cold is key.
The other thing I think that's interesting as you look at the brand is, utilizing the convenience stores, but also how you guys evolve and what you're looking for, and how, if you roadmap, 2-3 years down the line, what flavor profiles, what consumers are looking for that way. Talk to us about, really how the brand is looking beyond the obvious grape, fruit punch, that type of thing, but how you're being much more, I'd say, inclusive.
I would say there's two very important things. One is the importance and the role that the convenience channel plays for innovation, number one. And second is shifts that we're seeing from a consumer standpoint. From a channel standpoint, again, convenience with the number of doors and the amount of people that they can reach every single day, it truly is a live laboratory or a hub where you can test several ideas, either in the independent channel or with some of the top national accounts or even regional accounts. Reason why is because with the amount of traffic that you have in convenience, and I've done this with multiple brands, in a matter of 3 weeks, even less than a month, you already know if an initiative is going to work or not, and you get that feedback instantly from the convenience channel. You can say, well, Christian, e-commerce can provide better intel, like a channel like Amazon, for example. In a matter of probably a week, you can get more information. Yes, but it's not necessarily, goes back again to the scale and the reach that a channel like convenience has. Testing new things, we always do it. And this is like an industry practice that you have a lot of brands that launch exclusive flavors with specific accounts in convenience. You test it for a couple months, and if it works, then you expand and deploy that flavor, that SKU into more accounts. Reason why is because convenience, again, has that reach that no other channel can achieve. So that's in terms of testing and using that as a hub. In terms of flavor specific, we are seeing a big shift with consumers and even more with Gen Zs. Going back on the traditional path of just using regular flavors, traditional flavors like the regular fruits, like an orange or like a hibiscus or a blueberry or a cranberry or you name it, cherry flavor, so on, apple, so on. Yes, they're important, but consumers are looking for more. It's more about the experience overall. It's not just drinking, I'm drinking an isotonic that is orange flavor. It's more about the experience. It's more about, as you were saying, Tony, you're riding your bike for 3 hours, 2.5 hours. You're prepping for a triathlon, or you're prepping for a big race, or you're prepping for a marathon, or you're just hanging out with your friends and having a basketball game and so on. And at the end, younger consumers are not only looking for like, I'm thirsty, I need something, or I'm dehydrated, I need to recover. They're looking for that overall experience. And the overall experience starts with a lot of that flavor, the packaging itself, the colors that are being used. You're seeing more and more brands, not only in beverage, but across even food, other categories, that are coming with very interesting names in their products, names that are very unique for Gen Zs. You may remember a few years ago, a little bit before the pandemic, the term lit. Oh, it's lit and lit and lit and lit. That was
that's Electrolit. Got it.
Yeah. So there's that like that, or things that are happening, like the emoticons, for example, that some other brands in beverage have used the emoticons as a way to bring a better experience for the consumer. So you're going to see, Matt, with our brand, and I'm sure that is going to continue happening with other brands in the category and outside of not only beverage, but across food and beverage. You're going to see more and more of these kind of trend relevance or more locally relevant terminologies or names for consumers, that although the taste can be a mango or a mango strawberry or a mix of your choice, it's more about the experience and the opportunity you're giving to the consumer to connect with you in a different way, right? Versus just saying, oh, this is a mango flavor, or this is a strawberry flavor. So that's something that we have in our radar, something that you're going to see in the future, and something that brands should continue taking as an opportunity to connect in a more unique and relevant way with consumers.
How important is the packaging as well? I think that's something that's interesting with Electrolit, with the square bottle. That really it seems like it separates, differentiates, but also from a shipping standpoint, you can fit more. You have more of that. They talk a lot about wasted space and so much about shipping channels. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear how the evolution of the bottle.
It's packaging. It's key, and I'll go back to a very common acronym that we use in the industry. That A.G. Lavely, former CEO of P&G, came with this: the first moment of truth, the second moment of truth, and then Google came with this 0 moment of truth. So the first moment of truth is basically when you're in front of the shelf and there's a lot of neurological connections and reactions happening in your brain that help you decide what product you're going to take. And that happens sometimes in less than a fraction of a second, right? So packaging is critical and extremely important, because that's when you have that little short period of time to win versus competition, to truly get or grab the attention from the consumer and make sure that he's going to grab your product, hopefully buy the product, but at least discover the product. So that's why it's so important to drive or call that action with the consumer at shelf. It's extremely important. And I would say not only on shelf, but now that we see e-commerce as well, it's very important to make sure that your packaging can stand out on shelf, right? So specific to us, one of the things that has helped us historically across multiple countries is the shape of our bottle. We're not necessarily the traditional round bottle. We have that, I would say, more scientifical look and feel type of packaging, even with the cap. And having those aesthetics like the cap, that is a very, very iconic blue, that when you're in a huge shelf full of products or a cold vault at a convenience store and you're looking at the products, it's very easy to recognize it by the blue cap and the white big spot, or the big semicircle that we have in our packaging. No matter what the flavor is, you can easily understand where our product is located. There's critical things as well from a technical standpoint, our package, that and that's some of the reasons why we have that type of cap in bottles and so on. As mentioned, our product is pharma grade quality. You don't necessarily see this type of packaging and product in the isotonic category in the US, with I think one exception. And what that means is that our product is sterile. It's this at this point, I can't think about one brand that it is in the category. So this provides a better quality and again, a better experience for the consumer. Even if they have stomach sickness, it can provide a better overall performance for the product. And at the same time, the integrity of the product, I would say, and the shelf life, this helps as well. Having these more strict processes that we have versus some of our competitors. And that's also some of the reasons why we have the packaging that we have today. There's been a lot of discussions historically about our packaging, that if it's retro or if it's not retro, and if it's more OTC or if it's more as a sports drink or as a tonic. But historically, we have seen with consumers that once consumers try our product and experience our product and love our product, it becomes an iconic packaging that they can find at their local convenience store.
Yeah, I really love that you just kind of going back to the whole innovation happening at the store level. I really do find that interesting because you really have to win so quickly. And we talk about it quite a bit on this podcast. You have to be different, better, and special. So it sounds like obviously with the pharma grade product, that obviously makes the product itself different. But then it goes into the bottling and the packaging. And Matt, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm trying to go from memory, but I believe, isn't there like kind of a shrink wrap around the bottle with I could be wrong. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
So you can really on the fly, add that new wrapping, right? You're not tied into like a dye or something. You can do a quick new wrap, test something really quick and see how well it's working. So I think that's a very smart strategy. But I want to get your opinion because you obviously coming out of Procter & Gamble and then, of course, your work with Red Bull. For a beverage brand, would you even recommend that they start just at a convenience store level, get the data, prove the model out, and then launch out into the larger world? Is that a viable strategy?
Definitely. For beverage, I would say that's most likely the way to go. I've seen it with several other startups, with regional brands. Convenience, again, it's the best channel. It depends on what, if it's a very niche type of brand and a very higher, like extremely premium or high tier type of brand, probably wouldn't be the best case. You would probably have to go to more the natural channel or other type of accounts. But for a mainstream beverage, I do believe still as of today, convenience is king. A lot of people will probably say, well, what about e-commerce? There's a lot of challenges with e-commerce from a logistics standpoint. The cost of moving liquids is extremely expensive.
That's true.
And I can tell you this from multi-billion-dollar brands in the US and around the world that still probably in the future, there's going to be more and more solutions. But again, a lot of these beverages are an impulse purchase. And what's the best place where you can buy, where you can get that, or you can be in that setting for an impulse purchase? It's convenience, right? So I would say yes, the way to go should be with convenience. Based on my experience, what I've learned with other brands, with some startups, beverage startups and so on, is start regionally. The US is 23% of the world's economy. It's the biggest economy still as of today. You don't have to go nationwide, and it's very difficult to go nationwide day one. There's been brands that have done that with nationwide accounts day one, and I'm like, my highest respects and rewards to those guys. But at the same time, with the size of the economy, markets like Texas, markets like California, markets like New York, that you have such a strong base of consumers that are open to try new things, that are always setting new trends, and that they love innovation. Simply go to Southern California. Forget about just California. Southern California alone, how many brands launch in Southern California? They test it, they build a business case, and then from those, even some regional accounts, not even a national account in those market or in that market, then they go and build a business case and start presenting to top national convenience stores, other regional convenience stores, and even grocery, and even other accounts, right? Even like club, why not? So the hub or the best lab, again, as mentioned, for testing beverages in the U.S., mainstream beverages, I would say still as of today, and most likely will continue for the next decade, is the convenience channel.
Well, Matt, this is kind of into your wheelhouse in the sense of PR, driving that buzz. And we talked a little bit ahead of time about the point of sale strategies, right? You've got to get people, you have to do some sort of marketing, right? So what's the technique? How are you going to drive traffic? How are you going to, get them excited to go into the store itself? Because a lot of times, you're just out there pumping gas and you may not even go in. So what's the strategy there?
Yeah, I think, a big strategy we do with the Electrolit brand, it's really, liquid in mouth. It's getting people to try it, experience it. And I think Christian touched on it too. It's the different flavor profiles. It's the experience they have. And you talked about it too, Tony, about it's unexpected. It does really work in that regard, that it's not what you may have had in the past with a Gatorade or Powerade or any other sort of brand like that. So it's a way that, we really want to make sure that we're speaking to media that, it's that moment of sweat. So we're talking, endemic media that's going to talk about, here's solutions for when you're working out. But, the product itself has a lot of, characteristics. So it can be used for hangovers. It can be used, for obviously, keeping the day going, making sure you're hydrated. So we really try and tap into those. And I think that's the beauty of PR, especially with a brand like this, that we can have multiple messages. And then obviously we want to win in the trades because, a growing brand like that, making sure that, buyers and retailers are seeing information about, be it new flavor launches, growth, expansion, new hirings, new retail outlets. And it's a way that this brand really can have, leave its mark. And then, the goal, obviously, and we've seen it where media are coming back to Christian as well to ask about trends, to ask what's going on. And I think that's an important factor because it is, it has a life cycle. It has a long, history in the category, and it can speak in so many different ways. So that's the way we really approach it from a, PR and buzz standpoint.
I would say it is about having a method in place to make sure that the consumer can see your brand. Even at a convenience store, you have less square footage than a grocery store or a club or so on. Still, the amount of SKUs that you have in an average convenience store, it's difficult. It's a jungle, basically. It's very difficult to stand out. So a lot of people will think, well, you just need to have the product cold, going back to the cold availability, right? Cold at the back, cold bolt. Yes and no. Yes, that's the first step. Where most of that consumption of that category is going to happen. Yes, it's going to be in the cold bowl, but you need to make sure that you can disrupt that visibility and that awareness in the store. And the way to do that is, as mentioned, having additional points of sale, additional points of display in the store. What I was telling you about the cooler pretty close, or having cold availability pretty close to checkout, that's a second point of sale or a second point of display within the store. And also having additional visibility in the convenience environment. So the additional visibility could be from the moment that you walk into the store, the moment you open the door, you see some visibility. Sometimes some accounts can give you visibility in checkouts. Some accounts that obviously are next to or within a gas station, having that visibility outside. Obviously, there are some mediums that work better than others with higher rise and so on. But we know that, and it's the same as media, right? Frequency. There's this rule of gold that the 7x frequency, right? If you're able to share 7 times in a specific period of time the same message to the consumer, that's when you start seeing the magic, and the consumer can start remembering and recalling your brand, right? So how can you do that in a convenience store? There's multiple ways to do it, but if you're just thinking that you just need to be on one placement and it's cold, you're missing a lot of the potential for your brand.
How about too within, a lot of the partnerships, if it's 7-Eleven doing their promotions, their apps, for their driving sales, and then any of the, partnerships centered around, raves or events. Do you see that as a strategy that works as well?
Definitely. And I do believe that's where the power of something like a shopper marketing can help, where you can truly understand with your retail partners, what is your shopper? Because not all the shoppers that go to convenience stores are not all the same. They're very different, and they vary by account. They vary by geography. There's differences. So by learning about that shopper, sometimes in some cases that shopper is the same as the consumer. Why? Because that consumption happens. They purchase the product and they're drinking the product, even sometimes within the store or before they leave the store, and making sure that you're building custom plans for that retailer. So custom plans can mean within the store and outside the store. And as you mentioned, Matt, is driving that awareness and helping drive that traffic to the store, to the retailer, by partnering with digital partners. Could be with the apps that several retailers have that are fantastic, that they can give you additional value, points, loyalty, benefits, and so on. And driving awareness, like this is a flavor that you can only find at a specific retailer, or this is a promotion that can give you a VIP experience at a specific retailer, or so on. All those things definitely can help you help the retailer drive traffic and can help your brand drive awareness and drive growth at that specific account.
You mentioned something that was really fascinating when you're looking for these shopper profiles and creating those partnerships to create that awareness with that shopper. So when they go to the convenience store, something triggers, they remember that, and then they can go in and kind of make that purchase. And we had talked about this in our pre-call, your fascination with the gaming community. And I hadn't really thought about that because that's really not my thing. But I guess if this is good for hangovers, I guess it's also good for the gamer, right? That's sitting in front of the laptop for 12 hours in some kind of a competition.
Yeah, I think that when you look at it for hydration, it has so many different plays there. And I think we look at it as, you go into the subcategories within demographics. So saying be it athletes, gaming, it could be students, anywhere that you need that hydration, and it keeps it going. And I think there's a way that what Electrolit does, it really has, get back to the flavor profiles, it reaches a broader spectrum of consumers. So you see that as, it's not the average just fruit punch or grape. To that point, it has those more modern flavor profiles.
Yeah, and I guess with that wrapping technology, you could do some kind of special promotion, right? And I guess you could do a promotion with, Xbox or whoever you want, and then do the unique wrap around it. And they go into the grocery, I keep saying grocery store, you go into the C-store, and they could see on the wrapping something totally unique to the gaming world. And that would be like, an instant connection for them, right?
Definitely. There's so much, as you already mentioned, so much potential with gaming. If you see it as a sport alone in the US, it's the biggest sport by far. Total number of people practicing it as a sport, gaming is number one. And several brands.
Really? Number one?
Number one, yeah. Practice, yes. I think if I remember, you can probably Google that, but it's around 63 to 64 million people in the US practice gaming, I think at least a week. So versus baseball, soccer, basketball, and so on, football, there's a significant difference. Now the question is, it's always been like, is gaming truly considered a sport or not? Yes, it's called esports, and many companies, global companies, have been investing in esports for more than a decade. So I don't think that's a question; it's a reality. The challenge, the most important thing is, again, I go back to the experience, right? How can you, as a brand and as a consumer good, provide a best-in-class experience and benefit to those gamers, right? Because we know that some of those gamers are playing 2, 3. Well, some of them do it for
exactly. They have YouTube channels, right?
Yes, there's some of them that I know.
You caught yourself. That's good. You caught yourself. You're like, wait a minute, it could be work.
Yes. So there's some of them that are playing or working 6, 7, 10, 12 hours a day. And you have seen a lot of brands in the past, several energy drinks investing in the space. And the difference that I see with their product is, yes, when you're working that or playing or working for that long time, you need the energy, right? You need to be focused. You need to be on the zone. You need to be winning versus your competition and scoring and thinking fast and having all that connection from your brain to your hands and so on. But at the same time, you need the hydration. You're sitting for such a long period of time. And you don't only need the energy, you need hydration and you need recovery as well, right? And those are some of the benefits that we provide as a product. It's not only the hydration. Yes, we provide the hydration with that mix of electrolytes that we have, but at the same time, we have glucose, pharmaceutical grade glucose. You don't see that in many other. Forget about the sports drinks or isotonics. Pharmaceutical grade glucose is not very commonly found in beverages around the world. That's it. What that does is it provides a faster boost to your body. It helps you to distribute as well the electrolytes in your body, and it helps you to basically be back in shape and be more alert and be more focused as well on gaming or working, or if you're playing tennis with your best friend or you're riding your bike, or if you're working, it provides that additional boost of energy. So that's what we believe. And even more with Gen Zs and younger consumers that we know they're looking for better. Gen Zs is the generation that is basically changing finally, which we needed in this country, driving a significant change the way we eat, the way we drink beverages and overall consumer goods for healthier, better for you products, they're definitely driving a change, and consumers finally are starting to evolve. There has been multi-billion-dollar companies that have been sitting in the comfort zone for decades and not necessarily pushing enough. They wwere doing the minimal efforts to just share something like, oh, we're naturally flavored, oh, we're this, oh, we're that. Now you truly see companies evolving, because if they don't evolve, they're going to lose significant market share, and that's driven by consumer preferences. So same thing as gaming. There's going to be more and more changes that consumers are looking for better for you products and products that truly deliver their performance with unique experiences.
So you really are seeing this shift now. I guess I have seen a little bit of a shift, but I still see all the sugary stuff too.
If you were in a convenience store, forget about the 90s, even beginnings of the 2000s, 20 years ago, versus today, the amount of space that sodas, traditional sodas, will have on the cold vault would be at least a 2x versus what they're today. Why? They would be buying pop and sodas and drinking. Younger consumers. I was part of that, right, in the early 2000s when I was in college. You go to the average convenience store in the country, let's say in a California or a Texas or I don't know, Georgia, and there's full doors in convenience stores with better for you products, from the kombuchas to the sparkling waters to waters with vitamins to premium isotonics and premium hydration beverages like Electrolit. To in some markets, you're already starting to see CBD waters, sparkling waters, flavored waters. And don't only think about beverages. Look at the shelf, like traditional snacks and so on. Forget about even early 2000s. 10, 15 years ago, the space of protein bars that you would see in convenience stores would be so, like could barely see them 10 years ago. You go today again to an average convenience store, and the amount of space that you see for healthier snacks like protein bars alone, it's almost like a full shelf within a convenience store. So that shift probably hasn't evolved as fast as other channels like the natural channel and even some grocery accounts and so on. But that same trend is impacting already convenience stores, and you see better for you, healthier brands getting more and more share of shelf, and the sugary products, the high corn syrup type of products.
Yeah, the fructose, the high fructose. Yeah,
exactly. They're not good for you. They're reducing their shelf every single year. There are some states and some economies that you're seeing some of them still having that space, but I'll bet you that in the next 10 years, several of those brands may not necessarily exist anymore in the market.
The other thing I think as we wrap up, I think the one last question, which I think is always important, it's a good one, because it's, yes, you're the CEO, but the team. I think that's something that we've talked a lot about, you and I otherwise, but just how your team, because it's a little bit of a ragtag, small group, and you're growing, but you've been able to, sustain this growth. So yeah, I think it's important just to give a shout out for that as well.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Matt. And we are very excited to see the support from, and you have been helping us tremendously from support from media, from our business partners, from our customers, from our suppliers. We know that we are helping consumers. We know that we have been shifting the category by providing a more premium and a better for you product for consumers with a better performance, with better ingredients, and consumers love it. And that's the reason why we have been the fastest growing premium hydration beverage or hydration or isotonic, I would say, in the US for the last 5 years in a row. And the results speak for themselves. And as you mentioned, Matt, the team and the culture that we're building at Electrolit globally is going to help us to continue driving that momentum for the next couple of decades.
That's awesome. No, and again, we've seen it, we experienced it, and I think it's great, to work together.
Well, Christian, what's the best way for people to try or experience Electrolit? What do you recommend?
This sounds like an ad.
No, well, I ask everybody that. Yeah, I ask everybody. So
I'll just say, and that's the reason why we're talking so much about convenience. Go to your local convenience store. That's where you're going to find the product most available. We're driving a lot of distribution efforts right now in the U.S. We're close to 60% of all the stores, convenience stores in the country. There's still opportunities that we have in some states. And we're working on that very aggressively, opening new distributors every single month. But the best channel where you can find the product as of today is convenience stores. And if not, obviously you can Google it, and I'm sure you're going to find it near your local store. That's great.
That's great. Well, Matt, thank you for setting this up and introducing us to Christian, and really showcasing really why convenience stores really should be part of your channel strategy.
Awesome. Yeah, this was great. Thank you again, Christian.
Thanks so much, guys. A pleasure meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you.